Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel with myself, Isabella. I am very excited for you to watch this video today. I'm joined by India Rose. Now India and I are putting on an amazing course on my platform, balletwithisabella.com, where we're introducing floor bar to you in the most authentic way. Now I thought it would be a great thing to chat to India, get to know her a little bit and to hear more about floor bar and why it is so critical and amazing for dancers. So India, before we dive into the floor bar, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you trained, and a little bit about your journey.
Yeah, so I was born in Los Angeles, and I actually started with Russian training very early on, but it was quite sped up, so I did not really get a proper base in my early years. Then I went to Kirov Academy, which was a mixed bag for me, and then I stopped. And then I started dancing again, towards 17 with Kelsey Kirkland, and she ended up having her own company. So I started dancing professionally there, and that was a great experience. But I was kind of injury prone, and also I had a lot of technical issues. I had a lot of critiques about my physique.
Did you put the injuries down to your foundation?
Well, I could never get my core strength together.
Right. Why is that?
I was trying everything. So in New York, we have all the different sorts of cross training available. So, you do your Pilates twice a week, you dabble in other things. And we did something called core dynamics. So you had your mat class and just doing it all, but core strength, or for example, you need to use your inner thighs. This seemed really elusive to me. So I was always compensating and taking things, let's say, by my quads. And so I was constantly being criticized by, my body shape, and, it just didn't have the right look.
So the conditioning at the time just wasn't quite cutting it. And
No, not at all.
You weren't kind of gaining that full understanding of how to actually work and condition for ballet.
Yeah, it was always this struggle, especially in rehearsal. Things were easy on, easy off, if you will. So
where and when in your journey did you discover floor bar?
Well, I was, 22, and I personally decided, I'm going to move on and audition places. So by chance, I was able to visit Paris, and I was a bit nervous because I knew I always had I had a hip injury that my doctor, who operated on Baryshnikov and Lopatkina, said he had never even seen before. And I was like, well, we're doing a lot of new different type of stretches these days, so maybe that's why. So I had this hip niggle that I really had to stay on top of, and my doctor said, you need to do lots and lots and lots of hip strengthening, Pilates. I was doing all of it. So when I went to Paris, I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Where am I going to find? And so I noticed that they have this thing barre au sol. So floor bar is everywhere. So, I thought, well, I guess I'll have to do this. And I tried different classes, and then I ran into somebody, and a dancer, and they said, what do you like about classes here? And I said, I really like this floor bar. Yeah. And he said, oh, we haven't tried the real one. And he sent me to this address of this amazing woman, Jacqueline Finert. And I wound up in her class. I took one class and I was sold. I was like, I don't even know where I'm dancing left.
And why is it? What was different?
First of all, she told me, she was like, you have everything for ballet. You just don't know how to use it. And then it was the fact that when we were doing the exercises, everything applied to ballet. And ballet technique was constantly being talked about. And this exercise translates to this. And when you do this exercise, it's for this. I remember we were doing, or you'll see in the program, we were doing battu. And she's like, yeah, we have to do these 4 quick because it's, when you're doing quick jumps and you need to stay turned out. I had never heard this. And then, of course, my inner thighs, all my core muscles, they were on fire. And these were muscles that had been dormant and problem areas. So I decided I'm going to move here. I'm going to learn it. I don't care where I dance after. I've got to do this. This is the key. And I did it. And then I came back after, a few weeks in Paris. And I remember because I had lots of Russian ballet teachers. So, they're very clear about whether you look right or not. And they said, what happened to you? And I said, what do you mean that you look completely different?
Wow.
I said, I literally do floor bar. That's all. No, it's not true. Like, yeah, that's all it took.
So really, you know, floor bar, would you agree that it can completely unlock a dancer's potential, but it's really important, just like ballet, that they learn in the correct way?
Yes, because I think there is still a lot of floor bar, if you will, that floats around on the internet, and it's just riddled with inaccuracies. And sometimes you get feedback, oh, I think floor bar is boring, or oh yeah, it doesn't do much for me. And it's like, yeah, of course. I mean, I've seen the videos, like it's not proper, so you're not going to get the effect.
Yeah.
Which is a shame, because it is really effective if you know it, you know where to find it.
So if you could put into words, how can floor bar help a dancer? Let's say they're really struggling with like their turnout or their pirouettes or their extensions. How would floor bar help them?
Well, I think floor bar is, it's like a re-education for those who, because we learn ballet and then we get tons of bad habits. So first of all, it re-educates your muscle patterns. It strengthens you from the inside out, and it helps you, it combines flexibility and strength, and they build together at the same time, so your body organically is able to produce these aesthetic poses and lines. And then it gives you so much endurance and stamina, so it becomes a lot easier to take a heavy work day, to perform a variation. Like you're waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I've done floor bar a very long time, and I just found, like you know, it kind of unlocks your true potential. Especially, you know, you have to be smart about it. Like you have to really kind of work it just as hard as you would in the ballet class. Like really want to get better at it, like a proper foundational technique.
Yeah.
You know, rather than just doing an exercise.
This is where it's quite different from cross training.
Yeah.
Some cross trainings are extremely reflective and meditative and slow and very mental. And then there's other cross trainings or exercises that it's just almost like calisthenics. It's just pure aerobics. There's not really thought into it. It's just repetitive. But this kind of combines both.
Yeah.
But you're staying even with a ballet rhythm, as they'll see with the music.
Exactly. Another question, let's say a dancer has, because a lot of dancers are very routine orientated.
Yes.
Let's say they have a fantastic routine of tons of Pilates, and they may be watching this video thinking, well, I've got a routine, I'm doing a lot of Pilates, why should I implement floor bar as well? Like I'm feeling like the Pilates is really helping me, and that's great. But tell us what floor bar can offer that something like Pilates can't, or that's different.
Well, this is made by Kniaseff. So this is made by a ballet dancer for ballet dancers. So let's say you're out on stage, and I always bring it back to the stage, because that's where you really see the results. And usually when you're exhausted and you're on stage, for example, what comes to mind for me is my floor bar. Like I think floor bar when I'm on stage.
Yeah.
And this is where I find sometimes cross training seems to, other cross trainings, like they work, they help, they're very remedial, but this is transformative. This is about moving mountains. This is about getting results that were not expected of you, pulling out things out of your body that you didn't even know were possible. So this is a little bit more intense, and it's for somebody who really, really wants to improve, somebody who really, really wants to maybe even prove their critics wrong.
Yeah. For me, what made a huge difference was the fact that Pilates is very two-dimensional. It's great, but I always found, for example, it hard to translate the movements done within Pilates exercises to ballet. So what I really needed, and whilst I always have done Pilates, what I really needed as well to really make it compute is that sort of spiraling sensation and wrapping of the leg sensation that you just don't quite get. And so then doing that on the floor and spiraling the lower legs and then standing up, it was just so easy to translate the movement. And that's why I personally think floor bar is so special.
Yeah, in the floor bar, and this is how I learned, they always said that in classical dance there are codes. That's how it was spoken to me. And I said, oh, that's interesting. Just like with architecture, you have codes. Like they have to follow a set of rules for the door to open.
Yeah.
It has to open But then after it's ballet, so it has to be a beautiful door as well.
Yeah.
So it's form and function. So I think the floor bar brings both form and also function. So for example, when we talk about the heels up, there is a huge anatomical reasons why you need to have your heels forward or your heels up. And you really understand why. So then when you stand up and dance, when your teacher says, oh, heels up or heels forward, you're not just like, oh, another thing, like this is more my turnout is. It's like, oh yeah, it actually makes sense for me to move that way.
Tell us a bit more about the Boris Kniaseff method and, why it's so special and what's so great about it.
So it's been a long-standing tradition that's been carefully guarded in Paris by certain curators, if you will. So first, there was Boris Kniaseff, and he developed this method. I would say there's many different origin stories, but I've heard that he even started in Uruguay. So he was always on the run because he didn't like to pay his taxes. This is a known fact. So I'm not even kidding you. So there's different stories, but he developed this method on the floor. It had something to do with the studios not having bars. I've heard different versions. But so he developed this method also because he was inspired that Martha Graham had their own version of floor exercises to prepare them for dance. So he ended up developing this method and bringing it to numerous places, particularly Geneva. And then he ended up passing it down to certain people, his wife, his son, these twin sisters in Geneva. This is all very like off the record information. And then my own teacher, who has, all the intellectual property rights and has the copyright, Kniaseff, she knows so much, the most about this method. She's learned from his son, his wife, his teacher assistants. And so she guards that in Paris, and I was trained by her. So we get a lot of this backstory, and it's a lot of tradition, just like with ballet. That's quite wonderful, the legacy. So it's really wonderful to bring this method here in its full form.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell us about the course that we've done together.
Yeah.
And why dancers should try it and make it a part of their routine.
Yeah, so in the course we have, as we said, we have a couple themes, and we're going to go down right to the basics with the foundational 4 exercises. So we're going to explain in detail, and probably in more detail than you've ever seen before if you've come across these exercises at other places.
Yeah, I mean, it's so detailed, like you've never done floor bar like this.
It's the details that are very close to the horse's mouth, thanks to Kniaseff and all the people who were there at the time when it was invented. And so we're going into detail about how to do these exercises, how to practice them, why they apply with enough repetition. We have a lovely pianist that's with us to keep us inspired. And then we focus on how to turn out, especially when it goes to adage, combattement, different things, techniques, jumps, extension. And we're always relating it back to ballet, but we're making sure that you're musical, you're on rhythm. We're talking about all the aspects of technique and how you can train that on the floor. So,
yeah, it's absolutely amazing. There will be collectively 3 courses, and we'll be working on specific exercises within the floor bar method for turnout, a focus on turnout, a focus on extension, and then a focus on jumps. I mean, floor bar is amazing for turnout overall, but we give it a little bit more of a focus so that if there's anything specific you're working on, these exercises can really, really, really help you. And it's just amazing. Like, we were sweating doing the exercises and really feeling the wrap of our legs, so that as soon as you stand up, you just want to feel ready to go. And like, you're so connected. And that is why floor bar is amazing. So I am so thrilled, India, that you're here and you've given this gift to us. So thank you so much. Yeah. And guys, if you have any questions for India, leave them down below as we can happily answer them. And I'm so excited for you to do this course with us.
Me too.
See you guys soon. I'm just so happy you're here, because more people need to know about this.
The thing is, they just don't want you to know.
Yeah, and it's crazy to me.
Ballet starts on the floor. Explore the fundamentals of ballet through floor bar. It's the missing piece of the puzzle to understand your body as a ballet dancer. Because the authentic floor bar is something that's kind of like an open ballet secret for certain ballet circles. I discovered Floor Barre in Paris as a very injured young ballet dancer while all the other cross training just wasn't cutting it. You might have seen it, you might have tried it, and you might have thought it's not for you. But the thing is, you haven't learned the authentic Kniaseff Stevovich method. Is Floor Barre, but it's an actual methodology. It's not just random exercises that look like ballet on the floor. Just like how you start bar incrementally from your pliés all the way to Grand Allegro in the center, Floor Barre prepares you to dance your best and to unlock the secrets of ballet in your body.
Maybe your teacher has told you you don't have enough turnout. Maybe they're saying to you shouldn't even be a dancer. Floor Barre can unlock your true potential.
If you truly want to improve as a ballet dancer, you deserve access to this information.
Whatever you're struggling with, be it turnout, extensions,
Core strength, rehabilitation from injury,
there is a way to fix it. And what you've got to do is get on the floor. Join us for this course.